So before we start answering any of the questions, really, I would want you guys to introduce yourselves. The simple ones: name, major, year, and yeah. Mari, do you want to start?
For sure. Okay, so hi, my name is Amari Brown. I am a senior now, which is crazy. Time flies. I'm a social work major. I think that's it, right?
My name is Michael Pineda. I'm a senior at Hope College this year. I'm studying business and minoring in jazz studies. So it's a pleasure to meet you all.
Yeah, I'll go next. My name is Korwinski, or Corey, or Kay. I'm also a senior studying exercise science with a communications minor from Orlando, Florida.
Sorry if it's kind of loud. I'm in a public park right now. But I am a Spanish major on the pre-med track, and I'm from the east side of Michigan, and I'm a senior.
Okay, so the first question that I want you guys to answer is, what do you wish every student knew as they transition to Hope College? Like, imagine yourself as a freshman, go back a couple years ago, and then what is it that you wish you knew coming into Hope College? What advice would you give to about time management, setting goals, understanding the main priorities of academics, affecting communication, stuff like that? Corey, do you want to start?
Yeah. I would say that no 2 years are exactly the same. I think every semester, you're hit with different classes. There are new people that you're meeting, new experiences, new things going on, different seasons. And so I think in high school and past in life, it's kind of easy to get yourself in the rhythm of, I did this in 10th grade, so come 11th grade, I'll do this again. And then 12th grade, I'll have these same habits and do them again. And in some ways you can do that at Hope and at college, but it takes some flexibility to know that every class is different. So how you studied in one semester, it might change the next one depending on your course load, or the amount of free time that you have, and when you have it dictates maybe what you're able to do during your day. But it's just knowing that no 2 semesters, no 2 years are the same. I think as we go through our years, we realize I think back to freshman year, and it was amazing. And then sophomore year was a challenge on its own, and then junior year was a whole different animal. And so I think just being prepared for change. I think change is the name of the game, and nothing will stay the same. But that's for the good too.
Michael, do you want to take it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree with Corey. There's a lot of great information. And I think that something that I would have loved to have thought about more in depth when I was a freshman is how important people are on campus. I mean, people are your greatest assets in and out of college, right? Whether that be in a professional context, a social context. And there are people who are going in the same direction that you may want to go. If you don't know what direction you want to go in, there are people who are in that place, freshman year as well. And I think people have the best way of making processable information very relatable to you and explaining them what was their journey, right? And I think something that I learned talking to people is they can share some of their mistakes too. So I think college is a time and place where you're going to make mistakes, you're going to make decisions, you're going to deal with the repercussions of those decisions, whether they be positive and or negative. But I think if you learn from people and really show that kind of curiosity, there are so many people around you, whether it be peers, whether it be upperclassmen, whether it be professors or any other faculty, that are really willing to give you all of the answers that you're looking for on a silver platter, and they could probably provide some information that you wouldn't have even thought of. So people are a really great resource, and I highly advise you all to take advantage of the people around you, the people in this panel and, the rest of the people that you're gonna meet. We're really all here to help you. So that would be my piece of advice.
Definitely, that's some great advice right there. Mamar, do you want to answer the question?
Yeah, building on what both of the two were talking about, change is inevitable here. This is a huge adjustment, but kind of what Michael was saying, I don't know about y'all, but my high school teachers always made college sound like this beast, and professors sound like these unreachable, like really mean people. And that's not how it is. I tell every high school student that I meet, like, it's not how your high school describes it as. You made a great choice by deciding to come to a smaller institution, so you have access to professors who really just want to help you. And I know that sounds crazy, but really they just want you to succeed. And also give yourself grace. Like, this is a huge adjustment, like I said, and you're coming into college in a really weird time in the world. So give yourself some grace to, adjust, learn about yourself, learn about, your college learning style, which may be different from how you learned in high school. Just be open to meeting new people, making new friends, and it's going to be fun. It might be hard in the moment, but it's going to be fun. Looking back, it was a great experience. So.
Cool. Do you want to take that next?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'm already kind of stoked, but obviously all things there's a pretty easy one thing that I think is super, super important is setting up mentor opportunities with people either in your community, in your major, in your whatever you want to do with your future career, to be able to ask them questions of things that they wish they knew, because obviously, like, we can tell you as much as we wish we knew, but like something that really helped me get through college and be able to do the things that I needed to do on time and learn the best was having mentors who were in the same field as me, and also having even professional mentors and faculty and staff who can advise me on what was best for my academic career.
Anthony, I know you're joining us now. Do you want to introduce yourself and then answer the question, what do you wish every student knew as they transition to Hope College, whether that be with time management, setting goals, understanding the main priorities of academics, or communicating effectively with their professors and faculty?
My name's Anthony. I'm a computer science major here at Hope, as well as an engineering minor. I didn't start like that, but that's where I'm at now. And for me coming in, my first day here on campus, I knew one person, and that was my my former overnight host, Eric Schumann, who's a senior now. Amazing guy. But I think the scariest thing was just being in a brand new place. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. So traveling almost all the way across the country to a brand new place, coming in knowing only one person. It was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. And I think I learned quickly that it's pretty easy to make friends here, but also meet strangers that are willing to help, which has been one of the greatest things. And one of the greatest things I've valued about being here at Hope is the mentorship programs. Just like Mo mentioned when she was speaking, FACES, which is one of the STEM mentoring programs for underrepresented students here on campus. And I was able to meet Gonzalo, who kind of helped guide me through sciences for minority students at Hope, which has been really nice. He's been a really great mentor, giving advice, and yeah, giving study tips even. I'm still learning how to study, being engineering in college, but we're getting there.
Yeah, definitely. Those are some great things to say. Now I know like through our 4 years it's not going to be all flowers and all that. We're going to have troubles. We're going to have academic troubles. So how do you, like, what advice would you give freshmen on how they should handle academic troubles, and what resources are there for them so that they can they can be overall successful and have a great experience?
I guess I can go first on this one. I think the most important thing is not being scared to ask for help. I think a lot of us coming into college are very prideful and we don't want to ask people for help or admit that we're struggling. But that's the first step in bettering yourself and bettering your career. So the first thing you can do is ask for help, whether it's to your professors or maybe when you have academic success like a tutor, or asking one of the mentors or mentorship relationships that you've formed, or asking your RA for help. Those are all for like great resources that I would recommend asking help for, and I think that's the best way to alleviate some of the struggle that you might face in the transition to college.
Yeah, definitely. Michael, do you want to answer that question next?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, kind of touching back on these resources, I think one of the best ways to get out of that sort of academic or even personal wall that we all cross at some point in college is definitely to find ways to maintain calm. I think that's probably one of the most important things, because I mean, it's, if you can imagine, it's an environment away from home. Yes, you have friends around you, and yes, there are tons of people to support you, but there are a lot of times where you're just going to feel like you're alone, simply because the decisions are yours to be making. All of these things may feel so specific to you and your situation, and I think it's important to locate different places on campus or find different people on campus that you can feel comfortable with. If you need to have like a breakdown, if you need to go cry, go talk to somebody. I mean, these are all things that I have seen, and I think it's really important. I think at any given point in time, you may not realize, because college really packs up on top of you, whether it be academic, social, extracurricular. It really packs up on top of you, and you may not know that you're being pushed over the edge until it actually happens. And then it happens, and you're in the middle of the day. You still got some meetings ahead of you. You still got to go to class, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like I have so many things going on. I need to calm down. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's really important to as you start to know the campus, find some places. If you're a person that likes to be around people, find that group of people that will be able to support you in those times and give you advice. And then as for if you like being alone, I personally love being alone. So my favorite place on campus is the music building. I mean, I love going. I'm a musician. I love going into a practice room when I'm feeling stressed, taking out an instrument and just playing for a couple of hours. That really solves any of my anxieties and my worries. But that is something unique to myself. So I would implore you all to find situations, places, people that can calm you down so that you can think through your problems and your issues that you may confront with like a cool head, because I think a hot head can sometimes complicate things a lot more than they have to be. So that's my advice.
Most definitely. I can definitely attest to that myself. Amari, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, this hits home for me too, because first semester I took a geology class. And like I said in the beginning, I'm a social work major. And so, part of liberal arts is, putting stuff out there and just stuff that you have no idea what you're doing. And I really had no idea what I was doing. And so the first test came around and I did terrible. And I wasn't used to that feeling. And then I went for a moment like, oh my gosh, I'm not meant to be here. College is not for me. But I had to call my mother, and she kind of reined me back in. And moral of the story, like, give yourself grace, like I said before. And then, take your hits. I still got a good grade in the class, so one bad test isn't going to end in those classes. And then I just moved on. Like, what do I need to do? So I got a tutor, like Mo was talking about, walking to the Academic Success Center. I think, like Mo was saying, sometimes we feel ashamed for asking for help. You shouldn't feel that way. A lot of people, everybody has a tutor in college. And if they're telling you they don't, they're probably lying. Or they've had one at some point. So there's no shame here. And then another thing that I learned freshman year, also first semester, I kind of got pulled into like a study group with upperclassmen. And so we're meeting once a week, so we're getting like labs done and like getting things done quickly. And they showed me, like, without even realizing it, how to manage my time in class. So I think as much as you can, and I'm not even someone that likes to work in class and in groups a lot, but as much as you can, get in a group with people, even if it's virtually, so that you have some accountability, like, okay, so at this time every week, I'm going to finish this lab. Especially when you're new to kind of figuring out how, you want to manage your time. That was super helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Corey, do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, I got 4 quick points. Something echoing other people said. First one is feel no shame, for sure. I mean, we all have academic troubles or not even academic, spiritual, I mean, any facet of life, you're going to go through bumps. I mean, you don't grow and go through all of these changes. You didn't pay all the tuition money to come here and get a cakewalk. So expect for things to get challenging, because if you're not being challenged, then you're probably not growing. Second point is to find upperclassmen, because you're living right next to people who have gone through what you're going through right now. So there are many resources on campus, and like Michael said earlier, the people are definitely one of them. And to have someone who's already done what you're doing kind of help walk you through it a little bit or guide you, push you in the right direction, I think that's priceless. Third point is to be proactive. I would keep working on yourself, caring for yourself, get a tutor, get study sessions, talk with campus ministries, check on your health at the health center, whatever it is, before things go bad. It's a lot easier to fix a problem if you find it early versus when it all kind of boils over and now it's a mess. I can't remember the fourth point, so I'm going to stop at 3. So that's what I got.
Definitely. Anthony, do you have anything else to add?
Well, I guess just one of the most helpful things that I've had here at Hope would be one, the help sessions. It's just kind of like a really good, kind of like Amari said, having that dedicated time to finishing your homework. So like the computer science department has a help session most weekdays from 7 to 9. So I would go to those every day from 7 to 9 and kind of dedicate that time to doing my computer science homework. And I can sit there and do it on my own, but whenever I got stuck and had any questions, there were upperclassmen there that are paid to be there to help you. So don't feel bad if you see them like working or like, oh, I don't want to interrupt them. Like it's their job to be there. It's their job to help you. So like knowing that like your tuition dollars are kind of going towards that kind of might help you, give you a little boost to ask that question that you got stuck in your head. But as well as forming kind of study groups is really helpful. Even though like when I took my circuits class, my group and I would do the homework usually like the night before it was due. But the good part about having been in a group is that we all kind of went through that together. We're all there to help each other, and some people knew more. Some people like knew topics that others didn't understand. So that was kind of like really good. And from that group, I have some of my closest friends that I have now. And so they're really fun to be in. They're really helpful as well. And you make some great connections. So works out in the end.
Yeah, real quick. Sorry, Otto. I remember number 4, and I just want to say it real fast. But the fourth one was to be open to support from different places. Like I've gotten like academic and social support from campus safety. I've gotten spiritual support from like science faculty. Just because it's not on their name tag or not necessarily their forte doesn't mean that they couldn't help you in a certain area. At a liberal arts institution, everyone here is kind of well-rounded people, and they all have something good to add to your life in any facet.
Most definitely, yeah. This actually goes hand in hand with the next question. So I know we mentioned resources, like we talked about the Academic Success Center, which helps you with tutoring. And so what resources and basically, like we have research on campus, we have internships, study abroad, you have student groups. Which of these opportunities did you guys make use of? And how do these opportunities, like, how do they enhance your like long-term preparation and education? Anthony, do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, I can. So one of my favorite resources on campus is the Boerrichter Center. It's such an amazing place. I go there almost all the time for any new applications I'm working on, whether that be for a job, an interview, if I'm just looking to spruce up a resume, for a program I have my eye on for the summer. If I'm looking to write a cover letter, if I need any, mock interviews to do or anything like that, they're a great place. But I think one of my favorite things that they have that I took advantage of was I forget what it's called specifically. I think it's called like, can I remember? I can't remember the specific name, but it's a program where they help set up students with Hope alumni to be able to shadow the alumni at their place of work for a day or more than a day. That includes throughout the United States. So I was able to shadow a biomedical engineer at the Cleveland Clinic. He was actually the director of the biorobotics program at the Cleveland Clinic. So everything, travel and expenses were paid for by the Boerigter Center. Anything I had to pay out of pocket was reimbursed. And I got to spend 2 days in Cleveland, just following an engineer around, playing with some cool robotics toys and everything. So that was really cool to see. And as well as I've also taken advantage of research on campus. So right now I'm part of the NanoGosh research group, where we do some cool research on nanotech and nanoparticles. And I think being an undergrad institution, it makes it a lot easier and a lot more feasible to be able to get into those research group positions, because you're not having to compete with any of those the higher like grad students or postdoc students or anything like that that you probably might encounter at larger universities. So great research opportunities here at Hope. And you also don't have to necessarily stick to one group. You don't necessarily have to have loyalties to one group all 4 years. Like if you're in one group 1 year, you're kind of finding out that that's not really for you, you have the ability and the choice to kind of be like, maybe I might try something different. And professors are really flexible here and supportive in supporting your interests, even if it's not with them. Yeah.
Michael, I know you were on a study abroad program last semester. You want to talk about what kind of resource that was and how that helped enhance your education and how that impacted your 4 years here at Hope College?
Of course, Adil, I'll be glad to do that. Anthony, you totally stole my resource. I was going to talk about the Boerigter. I love the Boerigter. Check that one out, guys. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys a little bit about, so the CGE, the Center for Global Engagement, is housed in the Martha Miller Center. And that is where you will find all of the language studies, as well as some different intercultural study classes, and then the CGE. The CGE staff is very, very helpful when it comes to, first of all, learning what study abroad is, and then going through the entire process, which is it's pretty gruesome, right? It's pretty gruesome, but that's what they're there for. Going through that whole process to find out how to study abroad. So personally, I can share an anecdote of how I ended up studying abroad. I knew I wanted to study abroad just because of how easy it was. I think if I would give any piece of advice, it's just do it. Like, absolutely do it. It is way too easy to study abroad at Hope College, and that's really what I enjoyed about it. I would see all these pictures and videos, and I would have upperclassmen tell me stories of their study abroad experience, and I just realized it's something that I had to do. So I remember one day I walked into Amy Otis DeGraw's office. I'm an international student, so I already knew them from beforehand. So we kind of caught up, and then I told her, I said, Amy, I really want to study abroad. And she said, well, like, what is it that you want to do? Like, what have you thought about? And I said, yeah, I'm not honestly sure. I'm a business major, but I love music. I had recently just switched my major from jazz performance to business, and I was kind of in a strange place in terms of knowing where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, and how I wanted to do it. So basically, she sat me down at the table, and she brought 5 brochures. She brought me brochures for Milan, Italia. She brought me brochures for Berlin, Germany, Vienna, Austria, Japan, and I believe it was Amsterdam was the 5th place. And she said, based on your interests, these are the places that I would advise you to explore. So we just sat there for like an hour and a half looking through these brochures and looking at obviously the cost structures, because that was very important for me, but also what kind of classes were offered, what the city life was like. And these were things that they are highly knowledgeable about, and they can walk you through every step of the process. Then once you kind of made a decision, I actually ended up going to Vienna, Austria. Unfortunately, the semester of COVID, so, boo-hoo. but it was still, those 3 months were the greatest months of my life. I can honestly say that. That was an incredible experience. I will never forget it. And there's so much more for me to go back to, right? Since we had to leave a little bit early. And they basically connect you once you make a decision. You fill out some forms, right? You get some recommendations from trusted people on campus. And then you walk it through from the academic standpoint, which is also a difficult process, right? I think that process is taken more into account with your primary academic advisor at the time, which can say, you know what, let's look at your degree works, and which is a platform where you can see kind of all of your degree structures, your general education requirements, as well as your major and minor requirements. And they're going to say, hey, you have a couple of gen eds here, and look at this. This program has 1 or 2 classes that could count towards your major. Let's build some tentative schedules. Let's see if you can get them pre-registered from the registrar's office. And at that point, it took me about 1.5 months of really, really hard work, like consistent, every day having meetings to really line everything up. So before I went to Vienna, I had an idea about what Vienna was like. I had applied for scholarships. I had all of my classes pre-registered, and it was all with the help of the Center for Global Engagement staff, as well as my primary advisors. So I highly recommend looking into it, talking to students who have done it, because it's a great resource on campus, and it's one very unique experience.
Yeah, definitely. I've been inspired by all of the people that have studied abroad, and I actually am hoping, I mean, with COVID and everything, like that might not happen, but I'm hopefully like able to go study abroad, and I definitely recommend that all freshmen are able to do it. Amari, do you want to speak on some of the other resources that we have on campus and how they might enhance like learning and opportunities?
Yeah, so for me, as soon as I got to school, I kind of dove into the CDI, the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, because initially, that's my passion. My passion is in equity and inclusion, making sure that people have what they need to be successful, especially people who might, feel isolated, or might not have been thought of when institutions like Hope were created. And people like me, because the way I grew up, the high school I went to was not demographically like Hope at all. I'm used to a very diverse background, and so it was a bit of a culture shock coming to Hope. And so the CDI was like my place of solace, a place where I felt seen. Like Corey was talking about, getting advice and guidance from unexpected places. CDI is where a lot of my academic advice came from, career advice, spiritual counseling. And it was just somewhere, like a place that I needed and that I wanted to give back to. So I've been involved since my freshman year, working for CDI. I've been involved with Black Student Union on the executive board every year except for this year. And so the multicultural student life is something that I dove into and I think is very important. And I would encourage everyone who's listening to this to get involved with the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. The staff is amazing. Especially if you're like me and you might feel a little bit lost when you first get to Hope trying to find your bearings. That was who helped me to really find out, explore who I am and what I can do to make a difference at home. But yeah, definitely stop by CDI. And if you're in S2S, you're probably already going to meet some of those people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can definitely attest to everything Mari's saying. CDI is amazing. I've also been in the e-board for BSU ever since I got the Hope. So Mari is amazing, and CDI is even more amazing. But yeah, just a little shout out there. Mo, do you want to take on this question next?
Yeah, can you hear me, Otto?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So basically, I am very involved at Hope. So I'm going to try and make this as brief as possible. I've been doing research since my freshman year. That has really helped me form a lot of professional mentors. And it's helped me really see what it would be like to have that as a future career. So definitely, if you're interested in somewhat of a research-based career, trying to find good ways to build your resume, for sure do that. I also got involved in residential life, which Corey is involved in with me too, and so is Anthony. But that really teaches you more of person skills and how to be a good professional, basically, how to be efficient in the workplace and lead a team. Corey and I are on the leadership team. So that really teaches you a lot. I'm also involved in NYCIRC, which is another extracurricular activity. I'm really based on extracurricular activities. And NYCIRC just really taught me how to express myself on a creative side that isn't really shown in my career. And then I think the last one, but the most important one for me, has been Student Congress. I got elected as the Chief of Culture and Inclusion last year. Anthony is my elect, and that has just really changed what it means to be a leader for me. And I think the end point with what I'm trying to say is sign up for as many groups as you can at the beginning, and start weeding out the ones that you don't feel like you belong to, and then center yourself on the ones that you're passionate about. Because that's what college is about, is finding your people. And whether that's in CDI, in the study abroad program, at the Bo Richter, whatever that is, just you have to put yourself out there. And the extracurricular activities will help you feel more at home on the campus. So
definitely, yeah. Corey, do you have what else do you have to add?
I keep going back to it, but the people as a resource for sure. I think like the people at CDI, like from Ernesto in the past to Javon and Vanessa and Margot now, they've definitely connected me to a lot of different people, to a lot of different opportunities. I've been able to do some dope things I never been able to do because of them and the places that they've taken me. In academic and professional setting, I think for sure they're big helps. And your professors are also probably going to be one of the biggest ever for you, because they are professionals in your field, whatever it is. So for me as an exercise science major, the kinesiology field, my professors are already in there. They're already strength coaches and trainers and physical therapists and assistants and all that good stuff. And they have students that they've taught in the past that they're still connected to, and they got a whole just varying background. So through connecting with them, I'm able to know what research they're involved in and get involved in that research too. Even if I honestly, I hated research when I first started. I never did it until last year. I got tricked into it and actually enjoyed it. I'm doing it again this year. They've taken me to conferences, professional networking conferences, where I've been able to see what research looks like, to see what's being done in the area, to see what professionals in my field are doing. I've been able to meet a lot of really cool people in my area, and they've been able to connect me and a bunch of my peers to different graduate schools and programs that they have good connections in. A recommendation from them is like a shoe-in, basically. They've been able to connect me to different job opportunities and different career paths. Like, I've been connected to so many different things and so many different paths just by knowing them as people and them as professors and them as definitely lifelines in the industry. So I think knowing your professors is going to be something really cool. That'll help you a lot.
Definitely. I cannot emphasize how important connections are, whether that be with faculty, administrators, and staff on campus. It's just very, very important. And I think make as many connections as you can, because they'll never hurt you. And yeah, I just wanted to emphasize the point that Corey just made.
Hey, Otto, do you think I can mention one more thing real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know we've been talking about some tangible physical on-campus resources, and there's actually a very important resource that I'd like to touch on really quickly. When it comes to the intangible resources, I think in terms of Hope's College's policy for discrimination, there are resources available that specifically for reporting, and that's something that I really just want to mention, just so you know that it exists. There are places where, and there are places and people, but I could specifically talk about one of the forums on Title IX's website, as well as the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, as well as there are different forums that are in the works and projects that I'm currently part of too. And we're creating more digital resources for students to be able to report anything and basically everything, any kind of discrimination that you may face or discrimination that you may hear about. There are ways to report these things anonymously or non-anonymously, if that's something that you want to do. And I definitely wanted to be sure to mention that, because I think as incoming freshmen, I wish somebody would have told me and even walked through one of these forms with me when I was coming into Hope. And I think it's just really great to know that there are forms on Hope College's websites that you can send in a detailed report if something happens to you or something someone close to you, something happens to someone close to you, then you can definitely make sure that Hope College is becoming aware of that information. And I think that's so important when we look at data, right, for institutional change. That data actually gets channeled into different places and it gets used very positively, right? So all these stories or anything that you may encounter during your time at Hope, it's really important, and I would highly advise to use that reporting resource.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I definitely agree. Like when it comes to reporting issues of discrimination or microaggressions, no matter how small you think the thing that happened to you is, it's very, very important to report it and to make sure the college is aware if there's something that can be done about it. And this actually goes well in hand with my next question. We know that this event is hosted by Center for Diversity and Inclusion. Could you guys talk a little bit, 1 to 2 minutes, about how the larger Hope College community should embrace diversity in and outside the classroom, and how important diversity is in enhancing the academic and learning processes, and it prepares us for lives of leadership? Because the Hope College mission statement does say that, basically we are supposed to serve and lead in a global society. And how does diversity help in ensuring that? Can we start with Amari?
Yeah. One more thing on the last question too, before I start this question. One resource I'm not involved in, but is important, is CAPS, counseling services at Hope. They're free to students, and it's so important. And I didn't realize how much I needed it my freshman year, but I'm not ashamed to say that, like, having a CAPS appointment has been important for me and has helped sustain my academics. And if you need, recommendations on specific counselors, or if you just want to talk about it, feel free to reach out. But especially in this time of Corona and kind of being isolated, this is so important. It's something to tap in. So definitely look out for more information about that resource. And then next question. I always say, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. And in order for students to be able to be academically successful, for them to be able to be prepared for lives of leadership and everything that Hope is trying to do, you have to feel like you belong, and you have to kind of be centered. Those big needs need to be met first. And I've experienced not having that, and I've seen that reflected in my academics and how I am in a relationship. And so I think that, especially, like I said, I got to Hope in the beginning and was very out of my element and kind of trying to find my footing and finding my sense of belonging, finding my people, like was mentioned earlier, was super important to helping me become the whole individual. So I think embracing diversity and ensuring that people feel like they belong is so important to just, an institution being able to carry out its mission at the very basic. Just very
Definitely, yeah. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah. Anthony, do you want to say next?
Yeah, I think kind of touching on the idea of studying abroad, when I hear all these stories about people traveling across the globe internationally to other countries and other cultures, and then coming back and kind of expressing how much fun they had and how much they learned, how different it was from their own lives. I think that's the kind of mentality and openness I want people to be able to have. Mostly, I think people come back with that excitement and openness because they don't really have a choice other than to be open and willing to learn and understand the culture in which they're in. And I think if people kind of are able to come in with that mentality and openness, I think they'd be surprised as to what they can learn about others and where people come from, and even about themselves. Because me as a Latino student on campus, I've learned so many things from other Latinos on campus, even different dishes and foods that they prepare with their families that we've made in Scott basement. Last year when I was in RA, it was a lot of fun. And even with students here from Michigan, my friends that are from here, kind of understanding the way they grew up and lived has been very eye-opening. And it's just, it can be frustrating sometimes when people aren't open to that, or can be hard-headed about those things. But, you know, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Corey, do you want to add?
Yeah, I would say diversity. Without diversity, you're getting shortchanged on education. You'd be getting shortchanged on life. I mean, with no matter what you're doing, like no matter what you're doing, there's someone else in the world that's doing the same thing too, but they're doing it differently. So if you want to be the best at something, if you want to even be remotely good at it, it makes no sense to only be able to do it one way. You know, a hammer is only good as a hammer, but if you're a multi-tool, do if you're able to do more, you're able to know more in more different ways. Like, I can give you basketball as an example. I grew up in Florida, and I played basketball my entire life. From the age of 3, I've been playing basketball my whole life. Then I came to Hope as a freshman, and I started, playing basketball here with some of the people up here, and it was a whole different game. I mean, I've studied the game my whole life. I've trained, I've played, and yet I come up here just for a weekend, and it's like it's a way different game. And like, how did I not learn this in Florida? It's because these people aren't from Florida. They're from the Midwest, or they're from out west. They're from Texas. They're from so many different places, and we're all doing the same thing. We're all playing basketball, but in so many different ways. And I've been shortchanged my whole life playing in just Florida and only learning one different way. So I thought I was pretty good, but coming up here, it's a whole different game. And that takes you down a peg when you realize, like, I'm not that great. I don't even know these ways yet. And now that I know that, I can learn those ways. I mean, there are different languages, there are different codes, there are different methods. And without diversity, all you got is whatever culture you're in brings. That's all you got. So if you want more things in your toolbox, if you want to be able to do more, to really be good and knowledgeable and well-rounded at what you do, you're going to need different perspectives, because without that, you're not going to be well-rounded at all. You're just going to have tunnel vision.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah, Mo, do you want to say what diversity means to you and how it can prepare and enhance your learning experience?
I was just saying that I came from a very different experience. I would say I came from a predominantly white neighborhood and a predominantly white culture. So coming to Hope, I wanted to learn more, but I didn't realize until like later on. And let me tell you that like I've made some of the bestest friends, and I've never felt more understood in my life than with people of color in the CDI, and just immersing myself in diversity. So just like reiterating everything that everyone has said, like I think diversity plays such a crucial role into the growth of who you are, and you're not able to understand who you are or how the world functions without trying to learn other parts of the world that aren't the same as you. So I don't know, I think it's a very difficult thing to try and explain in a short amount of time, but I would just reiterate everything that everyone is saying and kind of just a little bit of my own.
So you're going to get the last word today.
All right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with everything that everybody said. Diversity is such a wide topic, I mean, for me, I've drawn a lot of different life experiences, and I'm still learning about how to define diversity, what diversity means to me, and how it's relevant in our everyday. I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I lived in Minnesota for 12 years, and I moved around everywhere. I mean, I was in all different types of neighborhoods. And then I moved to Honduras in 2012, and I'm here right now currently. And I lived in Honduras for 5 years, so complete cultural change before going to Hope College. But I think in that time, I have found it reasonable to describe diversity as humanity. I make a very strong parallel connection there, because when I think diversity, I do think of different cultural practices and experiences, but I also think about ideologies, right? So that's something that I think when we think of global society, we have to take into consideration the different cultures, right? The different types of people, but also different ideologies, different religious practices, what people believe in, how people see the world, right? So I think that there are two really important pieces that I always try to carry with me when it comes to thinking about diversity, approaching diversity. And the first one is curiosity, right? So diversity is one of those things that, I mean, I got on the Hope College's campus, and I definitely have experienced different types of microaggressions on campus from I guess people that are ignorant, right? And I don't think ignorance is an entirely bad thing. I mean, well, ignorant can be used as an insult, yes, but I can say I'm ignorant in a lot of things simply because I'm 20 years old, right? I have so much to learn, and I have so many people to learn from, right? And I think it's when in those moments that I've shown my uttermost curiosity, and I've really put down my barriers, right? And really listened with the intent to listen, not with the intent to reply or correct. That's really when I've learned the most I've learned about diversity, right? Just hearing people out that have different ideologies, that come from different places, and that really see the world differently from you. And I'm no one to tell them that they're wrong or that they should change. It's to absorb, we share ideas, and that's how you can really connect, right? And then the other thing that I've kind of thought about is definitely climate, right? Being able to deal with these different climates. Because, for example, I mean, Hope College is a predominantly white school, and countless times I've been asked, like, hey, you're Mexican, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not Mexican. I'm Hondureño. And what I like to ask is, do you know what Honduras is? Like, do you know where Honduras is? I've received some no's. I've received some yeses. And that's when I take a moment to try to educate. I'm like, oh, wow, you don't know where Honduras is. It's not like I'll shove it in their face. One would expect that a college student would have, some basic geographical sense of Latin America, different parts of the world, really. But that's, you can't really always make generalizations and make those types of assumptions, right? So always take moments to educate the people around you. I think diversity is really important because our world is diverse. And if you want to be able to function correctly and function efficiently and just to the best of our living experience in the world, you have to be well versed in diversity practices. CEI, for example, offers a really great resource. It's a virtual training program, sometimes in person. This summer, it was virtual, called an intercultural fluency course. And there we explored 4 core competencies, right, that they consider important to understanding diversity: self-awareness, curiosity, right, understanding people, and really making sure that you're not making any assumptions, knowing how to question yourself and question your implicit biases, right? So Hope College is just like a lot of places in the world, has a lot to work on when it comes to diversity, but I think we do too as people. So that's something to keep in mind.
All right, that was a great way to end it. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you all.